Gnostic lesson 55. The man carrying the snake constellation.
Right. This is known as Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer or the snake carrier. And Ophiuchus is known as the 13th zodiac sign, as you can see here. And it kind of sits right between Scorpio and Sagittarius, see? Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about this is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, is actually a symbol of Christ. It's a symbol of ascending to Christ consciousness.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Right, or achieving Christ consciousness. The number 13 is a very positive, sacred number because the number 13 is the resonant number of Christ consciousness. It's the number of Christ, 13 actually. Mm-hmm. And the 12 disciples are the standard 12 zodiac signs, and Jesus Christ is the 13th one among the other 12. Mm-hmm. Like, there's 12 disciples in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Right. The crucifixion and the 3 days later resurrection is a celestial observation of the spring equinox when the sun on the crux or the cross remains on an angular decline for about 3 days before ascending back up to usher in the spring season, which is the resurrection of the dead. Mm-hmm. I explained that to you. So the 12 months, the 12 zodiac signs, they are the 12 disciples. Christ is the 13th. So the 13th is... the 13th man is the man of higher consciousness among the other 12. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So this symbolizes rising above the consciousness of the normal, regular 12, which is rising above the consciousness of the standard other people. It's rising above the consciousness of the standard matrix of time which we are living in. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're talking about rising above the ego, which is rising above the sense of self in this incarnation, in this material world, in this matrix. And the sense of self is shaped by the standard zodiac signs, as we covered in the last lesson. Mm-hmm. But the zodiac signs are gates, they're vehicles. It doesn't necessarily define who the soul is, who you are as your soul. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right. So now, the serpent represents Christ. That's what you have to understand. What does the serpent represent?
Christ.
Right. Remember in lesson 44, we showed that the serpent is the kundalini, which is the connection of the chakras, activating the third eye chakra, which is the ascension to Christ consciousness. Mm-hmm. Remember, the stem of the tree is the spinal cord, which the chakras align upon, right?
Right.
Remember lesson 44? Mm-hmm. Right? And the pineal gland is the forbidden fruit. Mm-hmm. And then remember earlier in lessons 5 through 12, remember in previous lessons we learned that the devil is actually the God of the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. Who is the devil?
The God of the Old Testament.
Right. The real devil is Yahweh Jehovah. Remember in lessons 5 through 12, Jesus says that the Abrahamic God is actually a demon. Remember? Mm-hmm. Jesus makes it clear that the God of Genesis is really a demon and is not his father. The true God that Jesus represents, Jesus is not the Abrahamic God, the God of Genesis that created Adam. Jesus tells us, Jesus makes it clear that the true God is far greater, way above the Abrahamic God of Genesis who created Adam. Remember that?
Right.
That's in the Apocryphon of John, which we read in lessons 5 through 12, and we covered all of that previously. And remember, Jesus tells us, we're not making this up. I'm not making this up. Jesus straight up says that Jesus, is the one who had Adam and Eve eat from the fruit to save them. Mm-hmm. Remember?
Remember.
Right. All right. And so Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, is a symbol of
Christ.
Right. And Christ
consciousness.
Right, which is the ascension to your higher self, which is to come above, to rise up above this time zone, this 12-month system, this matrix. That's Christ consciousness. That's Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, the carrier of the snake. Mm-hmm. Right, he's our friend. He's our savior. Mm-hmm. He's Christ.
He's Christ.
Right, he's going to get us out of this matrix. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
All right, love you.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.